And I told you guys weeks ago, I told you something is going on. Something is brewing. This guy had a haircut. He had clean shaven face. He hadn't spoke to anybody in over 2.5 months. I was like, oh, it's contract season. He's trying to get that next contract. All right, we ready to go.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today as we celebrate Black History Month is my tag team partner, and we did an earlier taping, so I got to make sure I remember it. He is the Booker T to my Stevie Ray in Harlem Heat, but I prefer the Ebony Experience, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, thank you for retaping our episode because Kyrie is the bane of our existence. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, and I hate to say I told you so, but
and no,
I
you
told
don't.
you so.
And because we're going to sneak in a little bit of extra big game prep, we've got the captain for life, Will Cotton, with us tonight. Cotton Man, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Got to see Coach Francis again, man. I ain't seen him in a minute, so this is the first time 2023. So I'm hyped.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Schoolwork is real. So this is a special edition again. We did a previous taping this morning in our usual time, and we anticipated that Kyrie Irving would get traded like Wednesday or Thursday, but the Dallas Mavericks jumped the line and jumped in. So, fellas, the notes are on my screen, and I am going to bring in our referee. He could do basketball too. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Robert, you get to jump in on the Kyrie episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll do the other stuff. I've got the notes, so just hang with us, Robert. You know how we do things. So sit back, relax. The Brooklyn Nets are trading Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks, according to the latest Woj bomb. The Dallas Mavericks are sending, wait for it, because I don't have 0.5 here, Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie. I got it right, Mike. Or was it Dinwiddie? No, it's Dinwiddie. Witty. Oh, sorry. An unprotected 2029 first-round draft pick. Is that where we are now? 2029 draft picks? A second-round picks in 2027 and 2029 to the Nets in exchange for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. That's the trade. The Nets plan to offer the picks acquired in the trade as well as their own 2027 first-round draft pick via the Philadelphia 76ers in trade talks this week to still try to improve the roster ahead of the Thursday trade deadline. Before we get to the Mavericks' reasonings and so forth, Coach Franchise has been on the forefront of don't trust them, stay away from them. So I'm going to give my tag team partner the first shot at this before I go to Will and Robert. Franchise, take it away, sir.
And I told you guys weeks ago, I told you something is going on. Something is brewing. This guy had a haircut. He had clean shaven face. He hadn't spoke to anybody in over 2.5 months. I was like, oh, it's contract season. He's trying to get that next contract. And like I told you before this morning, I tweeted it earlier too. The earth is round until he signs that new contract. Then it'll be flat again. He's trying to keep himself out of trouble, keep himself out of the limelight, just enough to do what he did. But I will say, he didn't finish at Duke, left Cleveland and threw LeBron under the bus, swearing that he couldn't be a number two, left Boston in shambles, left the Nets the way he did. Everywhere he goes is a problem. And my dad used to say, only thing come after one is two. That's why I don't do distractions, and you got to learn the routines. And that's why I say I would never sign him. I wouldn't even sign. And GTB, what's our motto, GTB?
Get the bag. We're
going to get the bag. But I could not, if I had the bag, I couldn't give him the bag. I can't trust him. I can't trust that he's going to come in He's going to be okay on the court. He's going to stay out of trouble. He's not going to run off about the next movie that Amazon releases. I don't want to do none of that.
All right, Cotton Man, jump on in, sir. What did you think about the trade before I give you the Mavericks stuff after hearing from our official?
Oh, yeah, it's all good. I think, the Nets, the best thing they could do because he wasn't going to re-sign them. But that was something they probably were talking about since when the year started, like when the season first started, because he wanted to get a contract, and they were like, "Nah, you're going to give you like a little franchise joint or a tag," and then so he played on that. So from there, he already didn't want to be here. So all the comments and the distractions, like he's like a kid who didn't want to be here. What's he gonna do? He gonna disrupt the class. He gonna disrupt the school. And if he's an athlete, he's gonna act around, fuck around in practice. I'm sorry, in practice.
Oh, Mike's.
But the best thing, the kid drops 25 and 6, no problem. And playing fun. I mean, the kid, when he wants to, he can drop any amount of points. Has a bag crazy. Handle stupid, can shoot, I mean, that's why he's even getting another chance. That's why he's getting the continued chance, but I will think one thing, we've been bashing on Kyrie, at the same time, man, Dallas, I will appreciate them if I was a fan because they go whatever they got to do to win. And I think that now they may not be the smart plays that they have to do, but I think they make the things that people excited for the team, and the team keeps buying into it. Like, oh, we got Kyrie now and Luka, like that. I know. I think my age group would be like, yo, that's legit. I would definitely go pay nice, And Dallas is not a basketball town, but they'll go pay some money and go watch Kyrie and Luka, and drop their little bread and whatever it is. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. A cheater don't change his spots, but he's still fast. So
Robert, you jumped into this by accident. So because you have a basketball background, we can have this conversation on the fly. And wait for it, fans. Robert's in Texas. So, Robert, tell me your thoughts on this big trade for Big D.
Well, first of all, Coach Francis, it's nice to see you, man. I ain't seen you for a while.
Man, I miss you guys. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm living the dream, baby. Hey, when someone tells you who they are, you believe them the first time. And how many times we gotta let Kyrie tell us who he is, right? I mean, he can ball. He can
ball, Rob.
But I would be running, not walking away as quickly as I could to get away from that. And I just wonder, and maybe you're going to touch on this, I don't know, because I haven't seen anything.
Mm-hmm.
What does Luka think of all this?
Well, you did it. You segued, man.
There you go.
I got you. Go. All right. Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison has a long history with Kyrie Irving going back to their Nike days together. Dallas coach Jason Kidd was a proponent of the trade. The Mavericks also ran the deal for Irving past all NBA star Luka Doncic, who gave the nod, a source told media reporters. And the Mavs can now wait and see how the rest of the season goes before deciding on a new deal. Irving is expected to arrive for a physical in Dallas this week, and he's supposed to make his debut when this airs on Wednesday against the LA Clippers, who we have jokes about. Dinwiddie, I think I got it right this time, returns to Brooklyn, where he played 5 years before sustaining an ACL injury, and Brooklyn then shipped him off to Washington. So, I don't know how that's going to go over. So Irving's tenure in Brooklyn ends after 4 seasons. I didn't know it was that long. And
that he ain't played.
And as Mike said, that included injuries dozens of missed games due to a refusal to get vaccinated against COVID-19, a suspension this season for promoting a movie that contained anti-Semitic themes. Irving, who is 30, opted into the final season of the deal, but requested a trade. He's been seeking a deal in the neighborhood of 4 years, $198.5 million. That's the maximum extension available to him until June 30th. He is also eligible to sign a 2-year, $83 million extension with the Mavericks until June 30th. I don't know if I'm that bad about that one, but as Mike has said, throughout the entire time, Irving has played fewer than 150 games combined over the past 4 seasons. That's like Zion like level. But Will, you said it. He's averaging 27, 5, and 5, and that Bama can play.
Who cares if it's only 50 out of 80, 80 games? I don't care.
But I mean, it's like if you're gambling, if you're a gambling man and you're like, yo, if I can add Kyrie to my team and not really lose anything, I'm gambling to see if I can make it work.
So you
and Mark Cuban makes money doing those kind of moves. Like,
then why they let go of Jalen Brunson? Why they let go of Jalen Brunson?
Oh man, they didn't want to. They didn't think he was what he is now, because I would have kept him who he is now, because that's basically what they're getting in Kyrie.
Thank you. That's my point. You're doing the same. You're getting the same thing you had before that your dumbass let go. And this guy who's the GM who went there and spoke for him because his long-term relationship, he gonna get him fired. That GM's gonna get fired messing around with Kyrie.
Well, and you know that Jason Kidd's like, oh, point guard. He and I, we talk the same language. I got him. He ain't got him.
I saw a meme.
And running the deal by Luka.
Yeah,
Luka. I don't think
Luka got Carlisle fired. Whatchamacallit, they got the new coach who's here now. You know what I'm saying? He got Porzingis gone. He got them out there. He got.
I don't know how he let that go. Exactly. Think about it.
But he said Porzingis said like they just couldn't coexist. Like he even said they asked him
because
just like, man, I guess he was being nice because like the brotherhood. You don't talk about another man, something like that. He was like, yeah, it just didn't work.
Rule number 1 of Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club.
All right. So I want to talk about KD.
Nope.
The Phoenix Suns are prepared to pursue Kevin Durant if he's available, according to media reports, before the trade deadline. Durant is currently sidelined with an MCL sprain, but new questions about his future have arisen. With the Nets making these types of moves, do they get enough in a second trade to keep Durant happy? Or do they just gut it and try to just figure this piece out? But I want to go to you, Robert, because you're an administrator. No player says anything bad about Kyrie. No player. TV, pundits, media, whatever.
Fight Club.
But they love that dude. Young people love that dude. How do you reconcile that piece when you as management are like, I can't trust you? What are we doing? What do you think before I let my partner just totally rip him?
Well, but I think Coach Francis is right. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like they're not going to say anything bad about him, because as long as he's there, they got to coexist with him in the locker room. So they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to say anything. And I think that's really the key, because it's clear just from being and I don't follow the NBA a ton. I follow him enough. I mean, but it's clear everywhere he's been, he's just wrecked it. He has blown stuff up. And that's all that's happening now. You have him after a certain amount of time, he's going to blow stuff up. It's just a matter of time before he starts talking about the JFK assassination and how he cracked the case. That's it. It's just a matter of time.
Yes. Oh, that we never went to the moon. or like it'll be something, man. Sputnik. So he'll be. You watch, just watch. Yeah, it is. It is,
All
and
right.
it's sad. And you say why no players say nothing, talk to him. Nobody talked about Cal Ripken, but I knew the state police officer who covered their district and knew how many times he went to his house. Nobody talked about Lawrence Taylor, but he admits how many times they picked him up before a game at 11 o'clock and threw him in the van and gave him IVs before he got there for kickoff. All right? It's a lot that's going on. But this guy's stuff is in the public. The public. And he continues to do it, and he has good enough talent that he'll get a contract initially, and then somewhere along the line, I mean, you asked about KD, who cares? This is what he made. This is the decision he made. KD's the one supposed to, you talked about, they ran it by Luka. Yep, they ran it by LeBron. They ran it by the Celtics. They ran it by everybody, but it don't change who this guy is. And my dad used to always say, no matter where if you go, everywhere you go, you got a problem. Maybe you the problem.
Maybe you the problem. Will, before I leave, man, I got to ask you this without getting either one of us in trouble. In your career, you have dealt with challenging teammates that were popular. If you're in the locker room of the Nets, how are you feeling right now as this blows up in front? How are you taking this as a former locker room leader, testing the temperature all the time? How do you feel if you're on the Brooklyn Nets right now?
I think guys, I think at this point in the season, guys are so locked in that kind of whatever. I don't think it's going to affect them too bad. I mean, obviously on the court, it'll affect them with the production, but I don't think it's going to be a problem with their mentality. Like they're already locked in what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jock Vaughn's been killing it, man. He's been doing a great job.
So they're going to be, I think, fine. They don't think they'll be a championship team, but they will make it tough for some teams as they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, because the Eastern Conference, as my partner will say, is hot garbage right now.
Personally, I think this is one of those things where it's a business thing that guys learn as they kind of go through the process in the NBA. That's like, hey man, like I know you've been in the AAU, I've been in college where you're the man, you can do whatever you want, but those days are done. You can't just do whatever you want, and there's a level of skill set that comes to you that even comes to that, So, I think the young guys are learning. I think the vets are like, hey, it is what it is. I think KD kind of shrinks into himself into basketball, but I don't think that really affects. I don't think that does better for anybody else on the team. He just hoops, but Bama's don't get better. They don't win. But
young people don't care about winning. That's why he relate to young people. This generation is selfish. What can you do for me now? And I hate to sound like old man, get off my lawn, but we can talk about how the simple fact that KD, man, like I'll plug the Lakers for KD, but that's another show. But I think that Kyrie is never, ever, ever going to be able to work with someone. And when he does, and he does something as great as win a championship with LeBron, he was still unhappy. It wasn't his way. And that's the young kids we deal with today.
Like that, the whole time he's been. I mean, he didn't want to play in Duke. He got hurt. He was good. He was healthy enough to play. Didn't feel like playing.
He played 9 games.
They still drafted him number 1.
Exactly.
Won a championship. Now he's upset. Oh, no. Let him go to the Celtics. Oh, no. Then it's like, oh, well, maybe in Boston. There's no penalties for him. There's no like, oh, well, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. It's like for him, it's like, man, like I just go to the next play. Somebody's gonna pay me. I'm nice. I don't care. I'll play in Sacramento, who's balling, or I'll play in wherever, Orlando. Like I don't care. Somebody's gonna give me 6 figures, maybe more, like 10 figures. Whoever's, But
to close this segment, guys. One, Mike, he played 11 games at Duke, not 9. And 2, when we get back, we're going to dive into the WNBA, super teams, travel, all types of fun stuff like that. We'll be back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fallon Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, we're going to talk about the WNBA and the super teams that are developing. The New York Liberty, a day after signing former MVP Breanna Stewart, all-star point guard Courtney Vandersloot also made the same decision to go to the New York Liberty. So you've got Stewart, you got Vandersloot, you got 2021 MVP Jaquel Jones via January trade this offseason. And don't forget Sabrina Ionescu. The New York Liberty now has 4 of the top 10 players ranked last year in the WNBA. Mike, are we good with super teams? Because that's all I ever hear about with a certain LBJ. What do you think about the New York Liberty rolling out that squad coming up this summer?
I hate the term super team. Super team is a term created by a bunch of losers. I've been saying that from forever. How many Celtics are in the Hall of Fame that played with Bird? How many Hall of Famers with Detroit Pistons doing their run? How many Hall of Famers with the Chicago Bulls doing their run? How many Hall of Famers with the Knicks?
So don't be mad at the Liberty for building out a squad that can just okay.
No, I mean, come on, man, stop that. Losers. Oh, you had to go over there. No, shut up. If you focus on what you're supposed to do, you don't have time to worry about somebody else. I don't care what it is: business, basketball, ping pong, soccer. I don't care. Monopoly. I don't care what it is. If you focus on winning what you got, you can't worry about nobody else. Your opponent is not nothing. You got to set your standard to what you will accept and how you will play every night. And once you set your standard on what you accept from your teammates and what you're not going to accept and what you're going to do, it don't matter who the other team is. We got so many people looking at everyone else. Oh, they're a super team because you can't beat them. That's the coward way. That's the chump way. And I don't want nobody on my team to think that. I'm supposed to like Phil Jackson said it best. Am I supposed to coach players?
I love that dude. So, one, the New York Liberty is now must-see TV. And, hey, quite frankly, the league needs people and eyeballs on the product. So, that's a good thing. I'm not mad at that.
And I left the Lakers out. How many Hall of Famers with the Lake Show?
Big Game James.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James, Magic. Think about that. Byron Scott.
So let's talk about the Las Vegas Aces because New York's in the East. The Las Vegas Aces has 3 of the top 6 players in the WNBA. Aja Wilson, Candace Parker, Kelsey Plum, along with 2 others, Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young, and they're ranked in the top 25. So they're getting loaded. And this is before the draft. And it's so hard to be in the WNBA as it is because there's only 12 teams. And look at what New York's already rolling out. And look at what the Aces are rolling out. So, man, this is going to be something. So the WNBA are used to having teams like this in the past. I am so sorry they are no longer in existence, but the Houston Comets dynasty with Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, they won the first like 4 titles, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. The Minnesota Lynx
Hold on, was that
uh-huh.
a super team?
Heck yeah. But I didn't care. They was beating people. I'm Steve Spurrier. Don't be mad. Be better.
Yeah.
Minnesota Lynx had Sylvia Fowles, Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Rebecca Brunson, and Lindsay Whalen. So before we move on to travel, Mike, is this good for the league?
Why not? What's bad for it?
I'm in agreement.
Are we trying to increase attendance? Are we trying to make it a fan favorite, a fan friendly thing? Like I want to go see that team play.
I want to see that team play.
So what does that mean? I'm gonna have to buy a ticket, and ticket sales attendance drives the league. So in a sense, like it might be the smartest thing to do. There's enough good women out there to do this. Like, and I don't care what happened. Like they can be dominant, and nobody was complaining. Nobody complained when Bill Russell won 11 out of 13. They wasn't a super team, right?
No, they were just dominant.
Yeah, let's think.
But everybody was drafted, and it wasn't free agency. Applesauce, alfalfa.
7 teams.
And don't get with Lamar Barrett's comment about
Bill Russ, Bob Cousy. Yes, you've seen the stats.
All right, so Mike, I got to talk to you about the WNBA air travel because it's been a part of the free agent discussions. So again, unlike the NBA's 30 teams, the 12 WNBA teams travel on commercial airlines, except in rare circumstances. The WNBA and its owners have decided that no team may fly charter, even if ownership can pay for it, unless all teams can afford to fly charter. It is estimated that chartering travel for all teams would cost close to $30 million annually.
So
the WNBA owners would have to hold a board of governors vote to make modifications to the system. Since the issue is collectively bargained, the Players Association would have to revisit it as well. In the most recent CBA negotiations, players opted to table the issue for increased compensation, among other things. So pay me more and I'll fly commercial. But now we've got an issue. Brittany Griner can't travel commercial, man. That's not that's a safety issue.
Yeah, it is.
So we've already got an issue there. If Griner were to fly privately, the WNBA would have to address whether her teammates could fly privately too. Because, man, again, you don't want, her safety and security. Breanna Stewart has brought this up as well. So let me tell you what the commission said, and then we'll talk about the contract. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, reiterated that with charter flights for games as a lingering issue, the WNBA has to consider long-term financial prudence regarding charter decisions. So with a 40-game season playoffs, it'll cost $25-30 million for the 12 WNBA teams. And the thing is, some people are missing is it's not a one-year thing, it's annual. So even if you brought a sponsor in to fund it for 1 year, sponsors come and go. How are we going to do this long term? So Mike, any thoughts about that before I hit the contract that they already have?
I think we got to work. I don't care what it is, we got to invest in, but we have to get them to fly charter flights. You can't put them in the situations to be in. And let Brittany Griner, number one, be a prime example of that. We can't do that. We can't do it. She will be mobbed. It will be crazy.
Yes.
It's not fair to her. It's not fair to the other women that we put them in those situations. That's a league problem. The league has to solve that issue.
Mm-hmm.
You have to solve it. Issue. You got to eat it. Let that be the part that you got to eat. You got the new play-in tournament in the middle of the damn season and all that you raising money. I know you advertising for that. What does that money look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not do that.
So the contract, and this is what we do in the Eye Coaches podcast. We're not noisy. We're going to go to the contract. WNBA travel is collectively bargained with the most recent CBA being signed in January of 2020, and it's an 8-year deal with an opt-out after 6 years, which would be following the 2025 season. It's 2023 right now. The ownership split in the WNBA is this: 42% by the NBA's 30 teams, 42% by the 12 WNBA teams, and 16% by investors from the league's capital raise in 2022. Ownership, investors, and players' unions will all be involved in the CBA negotiations. And short of a substantial sponsorship investment, it's kind of going to be this way unless they just rip this thing up. And nobody tends to do that with CBAs. So, Mike, close us out. You're the WNBA. How are you handling this now with your admin hat on and that blasted CBA contract and the opt-out being in 6 years? So
why can't I go to the NBA owners? Right? Why can't I go to the NBA owners for $500,000 a piece?
Okay, so the argument on the other side is you're supposed to be independent. Why do you need this? Why am I spending money on this? Because basic business says we invest and we get a return. And what's the return?
But they got the same name. It's WNBA. They're part of the family. They're in the cities. They have some kind of connection to the NBA, whether it be by name, whether it be by color scheme, whether it be whatever it may be. Like, I think that we're overlooking the fact that the NBA owners who are billionaires can also be major to this. Maybe let's think about selling them a portion of the team.
I think this is something they can work out.
Yeah.
I think we can get sponsored, because if you're looking at it, you're looking at sponsorship for the next 3 years until the new CBA comes in, because you're going to opt out of that.
90 million.
Maybe Southwest or somebody who's trying to get back into the good graces of the people can absorb this cost. Maybe some type of ownership who wants to do it, and I believe Joe Tsai from Brooklyn, who also owns the Liberty, can say, okay, here's something we can do. This, I think, is a solvable problem. The players who love their team so much can drop in. I mean, I'm just going to use Kyrie because we just mentioned his contract, but he's getting 37, 38 mil. He can drop, 30 players can drop a mil and keep it moving for the next couple of years as a write-off or whatever. I mean, finding with NBA, WNBA money, 30 million to do private flights, kind of think it's kind of doable. So I'm thinking for the next 2 or 3 years, go ahead and put that in the fund, however y'all do it. And
you got a lot of guys, the LeBrons and guys like that who are supporting the program and supporting the women's game. Like, the men can support the women's game too now. If it's a tax write-off, why couldn't they donate?
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I mean?
But when we get back, so when we get back, folks, we're going to talk about the week ahead in professional basketball. And we are doing expanded rankings now. That is just the NBA that we're talking about. We'll be right back on the Eye Coaches podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project's academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Folks, we're going to extend this a little bit before we talk about this week in the NBA. During the first segment, we were talking about Hollywood funding. We were talking about all types of ways to fund 90 to 100 million for the next couple of years. Mike, go ahead and keep sharing your thought, man.
I just thought that maybe if we could get somebody to come in and invest in it, and then when we hit the new collective bargain agreement, their money come off the top, whether it be just to repay the 100 million or if there's been an increase in revenue, like something like that they try to work a deal with.
And maybe these super teams can help out with that in terms of ticket sales. And but again, I have to think we can find 100 million for a 3-year, $100 million deal. So anyway.
That's nothing now for business owners if you think about it. Not these billionaires,
Yeah. So we're in segment 3. OCP rankings. So now we're going to go East and West because it's getting close to winning time. So the Eastern Conference top 5. Boston's number 1. Bucks number 2. 76ers number 3. The Nets are 4. Gosh, they're so close.
It's bad basketball in the East. Just put it that way.
And the Cavs are 5. Donovan Mitchell had a interesting. So teams to watch based on records. The last 10 games, Bucks, Sixers, and the Wizards are on a little bit of a run there, believe it or not.
7-10 is a run?
The last 10 games, sir. Just looking at the last 10 games. Yeah. So the teams ranked 7 through 10 right now. The Knicks, Hawks, Wizards, and Bulls. So they would be in the play-in game. And the Indiana Pacers are like 2-8 over their last 10 games. What happened to the Pacers?
They were Pacers. They realized, what's his name on the front of our jerseys?
That's Indiana. Any thoughts on the Eastern Conference, man?
Jimmy Chitwish ain't on that team, bro. It sucks. That's my thoughts on the Eastern Conference. The basketball is bad. As bad as these teams are to be atop, the Cavs, the Nets, come on, man. Like, they're not going to win. Whoever wins the West is going to win the championship, except for I'll give Boston a chance. Boston, Milwaukee, maybe. I give those two a chance. No one else has a chance at all. But when you go over to the West, you got many teams that got a chance to win it.
Well, let's go to the West. Denver's number 1 right now. Memphis is 2. And these are the actual NBA rankings. This is not OCP. This is the NBA as of the time of the taping. Sacramento's 3. Mike Brown's coach of the year. Okay? You just give it to him. Because that's the Sacramento Kings, and they're the 3rd seed right now. and it's still the Sacramento Kings. What change took place? Okay. The Mavs are 4, and the Clippers, playoff P, is 5. Teams to watch, Nuggets and the Suns, 7 through 10.
To the playoffs to be playoff P. You can't have the word playoff in your name.
7 through 10. The Minnesota Timberwolves and that stupid trade. The Jazz are 8. What are they doing? The Warriors are 9 and the Blazers are 10. Is it still Dame time? It's still Dame time.
That watch stopped working a long time ago.
And say what? The New Orleans Pelicans had lost 10 straight until they played your Lakers. And Zion has played 29 games this season, and it's February. Might be a push, sir. Might be a push. Any thoughts on the Western
This is the most he played in how many years, though?
I don't know, man. Between that and LeBron's chase of Kareem.
That's the only thing the NBA good for right now.
Well, should he, because KJ asked me this, should LeBron, when it's time to pass Kareem, do it with a sky hook?
Yes. I think he should. Post up and do it with a sky hook. Yes.
What if he keeps missing?
I don't give a shit. It ain't like you're going to cost him the playoffs.
All right.
Is it going to cost him a playoff spot?
Not if they get Kyrie, baby. And
Ain't
the
nobody trying to hear
backcourt
that
of
Kyrie
Patrick
thing.
Beverley,
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving,
that ain't
Rui
gonna work.
Hachimura,
If Kyrie come
Stephen
in, Pat Bev
James.
got to go. I promise you. If Kyrie come
Oh.
in, Pat Bev got to go. You don't want that locker room. I swear to God, you don't want. I just told you I don't want to do distractions,
And
man.
then Dennis Schroeder's coming off the bench as
Oh
sixth
my
man.
God! And he mad because he think he should have been the starter years ago when he was there, and he wasn't good as he thought he was then.
And Rue's getting the minutes that the Wizards didn't give him.
And I hate to sound like Shaq, but I don't even know who the hell that guy is.
All right, man. Okay.
I
So
don't.
I'm done with you. Games of the week.
And I know how to
Friday.
brush my hair too. I shaved it off. So
Friday, February 10th, the Bucks are playing the Clippers. So that would be the game to watch, folks. Saturday, February 11th, who's going to be on the court? The 76ers are playing the Nets. And by that time, Kyrie Irving may have been traded because the NBA trade deadline is Thursday, February 9th. So here's some of the players to watch for in case you're interested who might be traded. Jay Crowder might be traded, sir. He is seeking a multi-year contract, and the Suns probably don't want to pay that. So maybe he is on the hunt with the Kyrie deal. Maybe. OG Anunoby, I don't even know him, but they said he might get
say it
traded.
again. I ain't hear you.
OG.
No, what you said after that?
I haven't heard of him.
Go ahead. Keep going.
He's from Toronto.
My father used to say, never heard of the sucker.
Bless his. He's one of the most discussed players in the trade market. I haven't watched Toronto once all year. John Collins from the Hawks may finally get traded.
The North, right?
Yes, the North. So John Collins might get traded. Look, the Hawks are bad. Who cares? Okay, but try to tell you that they're not good.
That's your favorite people.
D'Angelo Russell, the Minnesota Timberwolves guard, is in the final year of his contract. And let's just say the Timberwolves need anything because they gave away everything for Rudy Gobert. And they're, what were they, 7th or 8th?
You can have him for that and a case of wine.
And Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley. Mike Conley always reminds me that Greg Oden should still be in the league because they were teammates at Ohio State. That's what Mike Conley reminds me of every time I see him because he was the guard for Greg Oden at Ohio State. And that's how old Greg Oden is, same age as Mike Conley, give or take. So, you know, Utah is always looking for something. Greg Oden, man.
Did you not see them play?
Greg Oden was a good college player.
Man, so what? So was Christian Laettner, and so was everybody.
I just said it was my reminder.
Everybody Duke was a great college player. That don't mean nothing.
It was just my reminder. That's
Come on, man.
All right.
The only thing a big man reminds you of is how bad he is when he gets on the floor. Keep going.
So, Mike, out of this list, who do you think will actually get traded by the time this comes on the air on Wednesday with the trade deadline being Thursday?
If I'm the GM?
If you're the GM, who do you think will get moved?
I wouldn't take neither one of them.
But you got to move D'Angelo
Russell. You got to move, yeah. You got to move D'Angelo Russell and you got to move Jay Crowder. So I see those two being traded.
Okay. All right. I'm with you on that. And the Hawks suck. I'm going to throw John Conley in there. I don't know what the Jazz are doing because they're still trying to win. And I don't know the dude from Toronto. I'm sorry. But, you know, it happened.
Jay Crowder and D'Angelo Russell, who I wouldn't sold on. He never did it for me. So.
All right. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams, saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Eye Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.